Is it time for the simulator craze to call it a day? Are they just a cliche onto themselves which is doing nothing but to saturate and dilute the quality of the PC gaming market? Or is it actually one of its strengths, offering unrivaled experiences that cannot be had anywhere else? Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now this video is very much an opinion piece on a topic that is close to my heart, the simulator genre. It seems today there is a flood of simulator games to be experienced, usually with a certain look and feel to them. It's become a cash cow for many developers who are able to release game after game with a simple lick of paint to what they released before and ensure those strong revenues continue in. For other developers, the simulator genre can also offer their first point of entry into the games industry, and so for that reason alone, it's very much to be applauded. Now the granddaddy of them all is Microsoft Flight Simulator. This franchise is probably older than you, and it's actually older than Windows itself, and today represents the very best of what a simulator can and should be. I've put hundreds of hours into this spectacular game, living out what life could be as a pilot, as I traverse my dodgy landings in poor weather and crap myself. And isn't that what a good simulator is about? An escapism from reality that puts you in the role of a particular job that offers a fresh break from the constant shit that we have to go through with first-person shooters, the Fortnite crowd, the cyclical release year after year of the sports title. You see, Microsoft Flight Simulator is special for many reasons, whether it's the glorious graphical effects, the dabble realism, the enthusiastic fan base. It's phenomenal tech. However, this is the outlier. It's a game that's been backed with substantial resource that I have to ask myself, what else could be possible with the simulator genre if all games had similar backing? Perhaps a better example of a successful simulator with more limited budgets is American Truck Simulator, which also has its counterpart Euro Truck Simulator. This franchise has been going on for 10 years and continues to be updated to this day. The road is truly the limit here, with one day a drive from east to west coast America being totally plausible. Now it's deserved its success, and those few that play it who are perhaps a little cautious always come away saying how much they liked it. And with all games of this nature, there is a certain characteristic they have in common. They contain a certain zen that could only be found in a game of this nature. However, I also think a game like this starts to explore some of the issues that arise from the simulator franchises. You begin to see AI implementation that is suspect, bugs start to creep in, and the reused assets with each DLC starts to become apparent. Now, I'm not for 1 second saying it's a bad game. Far from it, I've played countless hours in the worlds that have been created and enjoyed every moment. What I am saying, however, is that it's a microcosm of a much wider problem we are now seeing. There are now some traits that we all come to expect from the more general release of simulators. We expect bugs, plenty of them. Unpolished products are now the norm, and other than the likes of Microsoft Flight Simulator and possibly American Truck Simulator, it is difficult to really pick out a truly polished release of late. Now, I've used this word plenty of times when describing simulator games, and that word is janky. Everything is janky about them. The character models, the stiffness in their animation, the sharp angular edges that encompass nearly all characters and all objects. The world feels rigid. They all do. My assumption is that simply these games are developed with such limited and small resources that the timing and polish cannot be placed into making them what they can truly be. Or is that entirely true? You see, some games come out years apart and still use the same assets. Bus Simulator comes to mind for me. Now, I appreciate the first outing in any game franchise may lead to the janky cosmetics that we've become accustomed to. But once the first game goes well on release and the money is accrued, is it right that we as fans continue to excuse an unpolished release thereafter? Time is also an issue, or should I say lack thereof. We may not necessarily be experiencing a price war at the moment, but certainly a release war. With so many indie developers and studios putting out their games, we are finding quantity dominates quality. It's a rush to the top to release, no matter the status, to get games out there, in market, maximise value as quickly and efficiently as possible. The patches and updates, they can come later. But sadly, that's your next problem, because not all developers stay around, and in that sense it can become a bit of a cash grab when it comes to the simulator genre. They move on, start their next project. Another trait of simulator games we have come to expect is poor sound. Now for me, sound is always an underrated characteristic of many reviews, and yet it can completely change the way we view and experience our worlds. Sounds in simulator games are usually retro-style thuds when a character is punched, or a caricature-style laugh and groan when a character tries to act and speak some dialogue. Poor car engine sounds appear to be recorded from a developer's lawnmower. Generally across the board, the sounds are poor. Even the aforementioned and rather brilliant American Truck Simulator has sounds that have a lot to be desired. And so the question remains, if simulator games have subpar graphics, subpar sound, and full of bugs and issues, why is it that you as an audience continue to buy them? Why do you find yourself ploughing hours into games about managing a gas station, or flipping a house, or building a PC? Well, they all have one gameplay mechanic in common, and that is the reward loop system that they instill. You want to see where you can go with it. How big can I get my gas station? When do I get bigger and better parts to install into my PC? How long until I get to drive bigger and heavier loads across America? When will I get better cars to fix up? The list goes on, but they all have that Vegas style slot machine mechanic built into them, where you just want to try a little bit longer to see what that reward might be. It's an addiction that is actually quite unique to the simulator genre that you don't really see as heavily played in other genres out there. There have been many simulator games of late which I feel have been good examples of how a simulator game can be. I gave a review of the excellent Gas Station Simulator. It surprised me for its variety. Then you have the rather superb Prison Simulator, which placed me as a guard but also placed me within a story of that prison, which was there to be abused if I so choose. And my latest love affair is Police Simulator Patrol Officers, an early access game that has the potential to be the best yet, if the developers continue on their path and don't give up on it, of course. Now, the one thing about the simulator games is that simply a larger studio will never dedicate the resources to such trivial gameplay mechanics or task-orientated features. And that's what makes a simulator game so appealing. It's a niche you can't find anywhere else in the gaming community, and the only ones making them are smaller players in the market. They offer us something that no other studio can, and for that reason, they are a positive for PC gaming. And fresh ideas in simulator games still continue to be strong. This is what drives the market, as new ideas never done before continue to make waves. Want to be a fireman? No problem, we've got a game for that. Police officer, lawnmower driver, bus driver? You want to be a farmer? No issues. It's these unmarked ideas that make waves in the simulator industry, but the issue is their longevity. Once they are made, there is very little reason to try and make an alternative. There is already a market for a power washer game, and it's been done. One release is plenty, thank you very much. And it's this shit influx of releases which is now creating an aura of negativity before we even get to play them. The word simulator is looked upon with frowns and cautiousness from the likes of me, who've had more than their fair share of the simulator games. You go into these games now with a watchful eye, not an optimistic one, because I know the janky models, poor sounds and bugs will come my way no matter what. And this should also be a caution to other developers too. You lessen your product by attaching simulator to the title. You aren't strengthening your brand by doing so. I've already mentioned Prison Simulator as an enjoyable game, one that gave you an overarching story that allowed you to be a douchebag prison guard, or one that upheld the principles of law. We've also seen Prison Architect, a game about building prisons. We've also seen A Way Out, a co-op game about escaping a prison, much similar to Escapists as well. None of them had the word simulator in the title, and yet I don't understand why a game about being a guard in a prison with a story arc that flows through, that contains, yes, some daily tasks that a guard would do, but also character building, should utilise simulator in its title. For some reason, developers wanted it to be associated with a lot of the dross and crap that is out there, and it deserves so much better. Why not call it Stanford Guard or something that has other connotations associated to it? It seems developers are also in a market they are struggling to push out from. Simulator in the title suggests it's a niche targeted market with a much smaller audience. But I disagree with Prison Simulator, a game where I think the vast majority of people would love to have a first-person experience of a Shawshank Redemption style game. As I said before, imagine what a game like that could be with some serious resource behind it. So where does that leave the simulator genre? Well, the truth is there are so many options now that we have reached a tipping point. A tipping point where new games are not viewed with intrigue but now boredom and disdain. There's also a finite market out there, people can only afford so many of these types of games. It could mean many fall to the wayside as the cream is left to rise to the top, but the general oversaturation of the simulator juggernaut does not seem to be slowing. However, in my mind, we are coming to a tipping point where fatigue is setting in and gamers will soon be expecting far more than what they are currently getting. And I don't mean more in terms of quantity, but instead more in terms of quality. Thank you for listening, guys. Feel free to subscribe and chat to you all soon.